Ikea and I'm a film major. Now, what is a film major, you might ask? It's a person who is majoring in film, also usually applied to film school. And I am making this video because I had such fascinating experiences with film majors lately, and it got me thinking, what exactly makes a film major, and how did we get to the point we are at now? So today I shall be doing a deep dive into the anatomy and thought process of a film major. So how film majors begin is that they realize that they really like movies. And while yes, I feel like it's a fairly uncontroversial take to say that most people like movies, but like film majors don't just love movies, they like love movies. They like really want to get into movies. At least in my experience, I feel like being a film major isn't necessarily one of the most popular things that you want to do, especially like when you're in high school and you move off to college. You don't get a lot of people who's like, I want to be a film major, I want to be in film like that. And this kind of goes into my 4 categories. My first one being those who didn't really have any good place to like express their love of film in high school, so they learned almost everything from the internet. They're usually those who like are kind of self-taught, like they made sure to like learn themselves how to do these things. Also with the first category, these are usually those who are desperate for any chance they can get in like film stuff. So they might do like a few weird workshops, or they'll be like that one kid who everyone comes to like edit their videos for them, or like usually these will be the people who edit the graduation videos because they're desperate for any chance. And yes, I sure did edit my high school's graduation videos multiple times. So the second category are those who basically had experience in film before film school. Those are those who like, if you're from high school, basically like had a film program, or like even something as like a news program where you're able to like touch a camera and edit and all that jazz. Or maybe your parents are like somewhere in the film industry, so you're able to get access that way. And either way, you kind of come with like a more base level knowledge than the first category. And with the third category is my favorite one to talk to. They're those who, like the first one, didn't have access to like a good film education, but also those who didn't really try to like find serious like education into like filmmaking. And that's about it. And then comes the fourth category, the smallest not only in life but in this topic, the self-made ones. The ones who like didn't really have like the chances to like be a part of a good film program or do anything like that, but they're still killing it anyways. Like, these are those who realistically like shouldn't be going to like a bad film school because it really won't like mean that much for them. Like, if they're going to go to film school, they should go to like a nice one per se. But that's again like a very small category. They also usually have like small businesses or a small brand that's still like well established enough that they're going in with something to like work up with. And with all these 4 categories, they all get combined into one the moment they enter film school. And the problem is, everyone thinks they have great experience. And this is where shit begins to go down. Because what this basically creates is like this environment full of like geekdom and like artistry, but also so much like inherent rightness. Because back when you were like at home before you came to film school, you might have been like one of the only ones who had the same passion as you. And at that time, you did probably know the most about film, at least in your family, maybe with your friends, depending on the environment you grew up in. So when you come to film school and you see a whole bunch of like other people, that feeling of rightness doesn't fully go away, but it also competes with like this inherent need to like win film. Like, you know, like you want to make it in the industry. Most people who are film majors want to make it in the industry. But we all know like 95% of us aren't going to make it. So then it's like this weird competition. The environment you're in, you kind of like promotes like this sense of rightness, because no one's going to hire you if you're like, oh, I'm sorry, I don't really know anything. I'm just here, you know, blah, blah, blah. People tend to just not hire you if you have that type of environment. You have to be like yes, I know exactly what I want to do. I want to be a PA. I want to do all this, and that. But this is why like it's very hard to just go into like film school blind. It's like much easier if you have like a sense of knowledge. But what the sense of knowledge then creates is like a sort of superiority compared to those who don't know anything. Because those who know things like going in are now at a bigger advantage. If you have more experience, you are like more well equipped to get like those jobs quicker than those who don't. And this is where like social skills come into play, because I feel like to be like a film major, you have to be like some form of social. Because it's really important, especially for those who like didn't have official experience, whether it be like being self-taught or being like learning off the internet, to like make friends with like those who like had experience before film school right away, because that's going to give you the opportunities that need be. And so like for those who are like actually really interested in like being on set automatically, like it is sort of like a race for you, like the moment you jump in to go up and running, find these opportunities like as soon as possible. Because like realistically, if you wait too long, then you're going to be at a strict disadvantage compared to those who like didn't. And this is where like this rightness comes into play, because if you like act like you know what you're talking about, then other people are going to follow you and assume you know what you're talking about. In a way, being a film major is a bluffing game. It's about like fluffing up your resume so much that you seem so much like more experienced than you are, because that will also help you get opportunities, because like at the end of the day you just want these opportunities. And like if you don't have like this sort of confidence need be in like your artistry, it is so easy for you to like fall behind and like get tripped up, and you realistically cannot fall behind. Not only is it just a race, it's a very hard race to win. So like you have to like have the attitude of I gotta make it. It's very hard to survive off the idea of I just want to make films. You really need to like get into that mindset. Being a film major has a fear of constantly being whittled out of existence, or at least to me. You have to like try your hardest to be like memorable. And so like as a film major, it's just like this constant anxiety, especially like if you're in your senior year like I am, like is this an actual job choice, or did I just waste like 4 years of my life not doing anything? Because you're trying to create an environment or a group of people who you respect enough to work with. If that's not your goal as a film major, that should be your goal. That's my one tip. But also like you want to like fully make it, and so it's like finding the right balance between like having people by your side who can cause you to like work better, but also like making sure you're never left behind by them in terms of experience. You want to make these type of connections, and they're very hard to make, so like finding the balance of this is very difficult. And then like with all this in mind, it creates like this entirety of like a film major culture full of like people trying to like commit to the hustle, like feel the need to be right, like they have to show that they're being right about it, because that's how they know that they can stand out, because maybe they do have an expansive set of knowledge, or maybe they don't, but they're really trying to show that, so that way people know that they can be taken seriously for the hustle. And that becomes a problem when two people like clash heads, because not everyone sees film the same. Not everyone like judges what a good movie is the same, and this kind of goes into an issue of criticism. One reason why I find this like style of cultural criticism dangerous is because like for film majors especially, we have this kind of want to like be a professional. We want to like, you want to be like the big kids. You want to have those big reviews. You want to like be able to understand films just as much as like the professionals do. So with this, we tend to follow like professional opinions. This isn't like an every film thing. Everyone has like that few films that they absolutely love that like professionals might disagree with. But I feel like in general, when it comes to this, is it creates an environment where everyone kind of like follows what's considered like a good film and what's not. Another reason why this entire idea is kind of like dumb is because everyone views films differently. Everyone has different values on what they would consider a good film is or not. For me, for example, because I'm a writer, I like really do value like story and script over a lot of other things. So I might rate a film or value a film more if it has a good script but like shoddy cinematography versus someone who might value cinematography or editing or like sound design or like whatnot over other things. And it's not as simple as just valuing one over the other. There's like 500 things that make a film a film. Everyone has like different balances on like what would their perfect film be a perfect mixture of. Here's the thing though, with everyone like viewing what's a good movie differently, it kind of creates problems, especially in film major circles where everyone likes to believe that they are right. And if two people disagree, it can create like strange arguments or tangents where neither one is willing to move, although both are probably some level of wrong/right. I myself have gotten into many of those type of arguments, and I'm not gonna lie, I enjoy them, but after a while they do get tiring, like on your soul. Because realistically, film major criticism is very different from regular people criticism. Realistically, like filmmaker criticism is different from regular people criticism. And sometimes, especially if you're continually in this circle of film, whether it be because you just like it or because you're trying to grow in it or because you're trying to like be in it, you sometimes forget that other people have opinions too. And I feel sorry for many of film majors' parents who said that a film sucks and their film major kid like goes off on them because they're obviously wrong, which realistically they probably are. But I remember how when Greatest Showman came out and I was like talking to someone who said this was the best film ever, and I gave them like a bullet point by bullet point reason on all the problems of this film, and that person didn't care, which confused me because I'm like, how can you not care? It's film critiquing. Can't you see why this film is obviously not good or not great? And I feel like that's a trap that a lot of film majors, really realistically film people, come into, because it's very easy to stay in that circle of thought, not realizing other people like have a different thought process. Also, for the filmmakers who actually don't go deep into that type of circle, because they do exist and there are a good amount of them, they get ostracized, or at least like I feel like they get at least weird looks when they just want to enjoy a film for enjoying a film and not getting deep into the psyche of filmmaking. So what does all this mean? What do the ideas of like proving yourself to be right, of the competition of standing out, of following criticism and being a critic? Well, in a case for someone who's like going into college or film school, it just makes you a film major. Being a film major is such a fascinating experience. And I didn't fully realize I was making this video as a sort of goodbye until just now. I'm gonna miss like this thing. I'm gonna miss making films for no other reason than to just make films. I'm gonna miss arguing that Ferris Bueller Days Off is actually a subpar movie. And while yes, it's tiring to be a part of, just geeking out with friends, finding new people that like the same niche films I like, it's great. It's awesome. Spending like an hour discussing the merits of Joker, or like watching Vertigo and finding out I actually really enjoy it. This deep dive into film major culture has brought me to a deeper understanding of what it's like to be in the film industry, what it's like to be a critic. And honestly, I still want to be in this industry. I didn't make this video to be like an all-encompassing look on what it's like to be a film major. At least not for like people debating being in this industry, basically. And this is when it hit me. I've been using film industry the entire time when talking about people being film majors, as if all film majors want to be in the industry. Can I just say that is absolutely not true, and although I use it through the entire video, just know that I recognize my own folly. So, just a quick warning. or reminder, I myself am still a senior in college. I am not a know-all source. I sure do act like it though, you see, because, like, that's what you're supposed to do to be taken seriously. Sometimes you'll look like a fool while doing it, which I'm pretty sure I do in this video at least 3 different times when talking about why being a film major is so much more special than any other major.